These side-by-side frames are from two adult CGI animated films which are 20 years apart. Whether it is the quality of the animation or the realism in the character, there are differences that can be found between the two scenes. But there is one thing in common. Both of them bombed at the box office. The concept of computer-generated imagery is very popular in modern Hollywood. In recent years, studios have succeeded in making quality CGI movies that are catered to young audiences. Some of these films have made billions. These movies, for better or worse, have replaced live-action children films of the past. But when it comes to CGI movies catered to adults, there haven't been much success. With the rising salaries of top-tier actors and their social media-driven presence, Hollywood has been searching for an alternative for these larger-than-life talents. So why haven't Hollywood, of all the movie markets, succeeded in bringing a bankable and watchable adult CGI movie? Let's discuss it, as well as all the hits and misses that have cracked Hollywood's ambition to create bankable CGI characters. One of the major Warner Brothers releases in 2021, The Little Things, was initially slated to be released in theaters. But to be competitive in the streaming market, the studio took a bold approach and released it on HBO Max streaming platform to boost subscription. Denzel Washington, the star of the movie, didn't like that idea. So the studio went on to pay Denzel a hefty check of $20 million to be supportive of the decision. The movie didn't turn out to be successful with the critics and failed to pump the subscription numbers. 2019's Avengers Endgame, which went on to become the highest grossing film of all time, had a lead who ended up making $75 million, including back-end profits. Scenarios like these are a total nightmare for Hollywood, and it often leads studios to reimagine their favorite dream, to remove cinema's favorite darling. Not the Oscars, but the actors.
And this movie, it's really amazing. The characters' faces, the way they move, it's all very impressive what computers can do these days. You probably heard about this movie if you haven't seen it. It's the first computer-generated feature that attempts to have truly lifelike human characters. The feature, though, is Final.
In 2001, Square Pictures released the first mainstream adult CGI film, Final Fantasy: Spirits Within. This movie was like a dream come true for executives, but the movie was somewhat an experiment to see if photorealistic characters have the strength, charisma, and space on the big screen, and can they make the producers any money? Spirits Within was exciting. It focused on the popular Final Fantasy video game. The protagonist of the film, Aki Ross, was being established as one of the first CGI celebrities. It was even reported that the CGI actress/character has been booked for 3 more movies. And you can tell from the detailed work that's been put on her compared to the other characters in the movie. The New York Times compared Ross with the Alien franchise character Ellen Ripley, and visual appeal of Julia Roberts when she was portraying Erin Brockovich. To give more attention towards the character, GQ even added Ross into their Hot 100 list. But as the movie bombed at the box office, so did the character. The movie that cost $137 million to make could only gross $85.1 million. Square Pictures was shut down in January 2002 because of the commercial failure of the film. Yes, at that time the audience still believed that animation is for children and it didn't fit a particular style. There was no point in checking that out. But here's the thing. Final Fantasy: Spirits Within was actually shit. The movie had an uncompelling story, had lifeless CGI characters, cringy side characters, and a boring third act. However, it did one thing. The studios were at least familiar with what can be done with adult CGI animation. It opened the doors for many more adult CGI entries. Each movie used advanced technology of that time to bring written characters to life in the most realistic way. With 2007's Beowulf, studios even tried to hire big-name stars to act and perform voice work for characters. Despite a solid and well-backed project, the movie could only make $196 million at the box office and had average reviews from critics and fans. 2014's Appleseed Alpha showed us how far we can go with CGI, but the manga was unknown to the mainstream audience. The film also failed financially. And then came a barrage of video games adaptations, which looked more like cutscenes from the original video games. Like the 4 CGI Resident Evil films, despite the breathtaking animation work, the casual moviegoers were only familiar with Alice from the live-action movies, who was absent in the CGI films. All 4 films earned poor numbers financially. The first entry made the most with just $10.3 million. We also had a couple of Starship Troopers films with some of the live action actors returning, but by that time, the Trooper fandom was already long gone. A Warhammer film and another Final Fantasy film which went straight to DVD. Even after all those movies, there was still a sense of detachment from the characters, whether it was because of the expressionless CGI work, lack of original stories, or stories without consequences, stories that doesn't break the usual molds. Each installment looked like another experiment, a quick cash grab. And trust me, it's not a curse. Adult animated projects like Arcane, Blue Eye Samurai, Love Death, and Robots are massive in the streaming space. So is it just possible for an adult CGI to succeed in Hollywood? Absolutely not. If we have learned anything from the adult animation in general, may it be films like Perfect Blue, Paprika, Akira, Ninja Scroll, Heavy Metal, is that the medium of animation is limitless. With it, you can tell stories which are often hard to develop in live action, is because those are good stories with interesting characters. The American audience might not have been ready when Final Fantasy Spirits Within or Beowulf came out, but today, they are much more open to something new, something different. Adult animated stories have the ability to be more popular today than ever. If there's any doubt, just look at streaming, where Invincible dominates the superhero genre.